Page 24 in the main Cakrasamvara text.
Om Soba Vashuddha Sarvadam Soba Vashuddha Hoi Dombangang Ale Tuk Nunam Janando Hong Yap De Male Songwe Chupe Chin Samje Mecha Mowo Sapa Mepe Dirse Namba Rang Ge Sele Chepar Jendo Jo.
From the state of emptiness arises Ah, from which arise skull cups, each containing a hung. The syllables melt and turn into inconceivable offering clouds, undefiled nectar in essence and a variety of distinct features in appearance.
Om Banza Baden Ahu, Om Banza Bube Ahu, Om Banza Dube Ahu, Om Banza Aluke Ahu, Om Banza Ganda Ahu, Om Banza Nede Ahu, Om Banza Chada. Namje Sang Khanro Man Kolo Sanje Danye Pao Dana Pame Do Kula Do Du Jiaosun Simjian Gongje Dongje Se Dana Heru Kaje Simjian Tamje Heru Ka Gomban Cholan Gubaje Woi Sanje Chidang Gendola Dadu Dana Jiaosun Namje Sang Khanro Man Kolo Sanje Danye Pao Dana Pame Tsok Kula Do Du Jiaosun Simjian Gongje Dongje Se Dana Heru Kaje Simjian Tamje Heru Gomban Cholan Gubaje Wo.
In the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, I unceasingly take refuge. In the Yogin, secret mantra, and Dakini, the embodiments of the three wheels, and in the male and female spiritual warriors, I unceasingly take refuge. For the sake of all sentient beings, I will become Heruka and establish all sentient beings in the supreme state of Heruka. Shri is non-dual primordial wisdom. He is emptiness of causes and so forth. Ru is free from coming together. And Ka is nowhere abiding. I am glorious Heruka, the cause of benefit and happiness for all sentient beings. Shri Heruko Hang.
Danya Parchan Dombar Sarva Pongba Jarva Rangata Kangma Yunga Jimche Tona Sanjo Samba Sarva Ye Tuso Honga Hongjian Hana Neja Mase Ye Jurpe Sobje Drupa Yonso Jula Meshe Dorje Ravat Sajje Java Gordan Lare Yeshi Me Gorkan Sanso Gije Jomne Travel Soten Ranje Chenbo.
I appear as great glorious Cakrasamvara. My 5 aggregates are the 5 Buddha families, and my 5 elements are the 5 mothers. My sense sources are the bodhisattvas. From the life force syllable hung at my heart emerge 4 Sumbani mantras, black, green, red, and yellow. They emanate into the 4 directions and transform into an indestructible Vajra fence, ground, web, tent, canopy, and a dome of wisdom flames, becoming a vast protection sphere. Solid, secure, and utterly terrifying, it is impregnable to obstructors, even to Brahma.
Om Nadana Benza Bhavan Benza Bindahu Om Benza Chakara Hong Bahu Om Benza Benzara Hong Bahu Om Benza Betana Hong Kahu Om Benza Shoranzola Jam Sam Om Benza Analaga Hong 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 Yang Heruka Sarve Tuka Honga Wuzendru Lama Tang Kolo Dombala Sondun Jenam Kachendra.
The light radiating from the hung at the heart of myself, appearing as Heruka, invites the Guru and the gathering of Cakrasamvara deities into the space before me.
Shire Tadra Samba Mandala Devan Shire Heruka Sapareva Agamba Deza Sova Om Shire Heruka Padem Padeza Sova Om Shire Heruka Sapare Bube Padeza Sova Om Shire Heruka Sapare Dube Padeza Om Shire Heruka Sapare Aloka Padeza Sova Om Shire Heruka Sapare Gande Padeza Sova Om Shire Heruka Sapare Nevada Padeza Sova Om Shire Heruka Sapare Shabda Padeza Sova Dove Gela Jera Sanje Sanjo Yeje Sanje Chodon Sonjo La Sanjo Porto Dojo Ranje Tonya Rodrose Sanjo Chone Jeba Sanjo Choke Semne Jejene Senchen Tomje Dagen Rondo Necho Jimjo Yon Juba Rola Pesa Sanje Drupa Shio Goncho Sumlo Dojonche Lipa Mega Soso Dove Gela Jera Sanje Sanjo Yeje Sanje Chodon Sonjo La Sanjo Porto Dojo Ranje Tonya Radrese Sanjo Chune Jiba Sanjo Choke Sene Jejene Senchen Tamje Dagen Rundo Sanjo Junyo Yon Chuba Rola Panzo Sanje Drupa Sho.
Page 33. I take refuge in the three jewels and confess each and every wrongdoing. I rejoice in the virtues of beings and will hold the Buddha's awakening in mind. I take refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Supreme Assembly until attaining enlightenment. I give rise to bodhicitta in order to fully accomplish the purpose of others and myself. Having given rise to the supreme mind of bodhicitta, I welcome all sentient beings. I will practice the supreme bodhisattva conduct of acting with kindness. May I attain enlightenment for the benefit of all beings. The field of accumulation dissolves into me.
Om Soba Vashuddha Soba Dharma Soba Vashuddha Va Rāli Dzora Repa Hunja Nada Namba Karneshe Chuka Osar Tonye Ngale Dorje Soje Ravak Rava Lare Mere Sangar Jimbar Visa Namkat Lumme Chuse Rara Tenda Natso Bema Jadram Drumle Rinchen Natso Letter Yarme Kanche Ombava Senye Kunzo Sara Bema Dorje Mere Tutu Devi Natso Chuchi Deva Nyeme Jide Denden Tatun Jise Jinkar Viso Dunsa Soso Namar Nara Gede Jirje Shube Dorje Hongje Teum Unchu Janjo Rove Tunza Lardu Sao Latem Danye Sao Samsen Danje Yonsa Jirba Lesong Ene Chomden Deven Choje Namka Damben Danchoj Sharje Jinsum Cheve Zeshe Zhangsang Dorje Chenje Toga Rinchen Zechen Jinje Rabe Tozo Jijin Zema Norvan Dunda Nazo Dorje Yundo Dase Sanye Zhego Jemla Chuje Shamye Gumba Jize Go Tasa Zijen Dunda Zin Togan Zhuyen Tonglang Abjo Dosha Dorje Saja Zhu Gunchan Gargo Nyamje Bardo Dorje Nyero Surendo Sharje Jinso Zhazhen Samsa Tuba Gambo Ngeje Sayo Tuba Durze Gama Yebjen Gana Juju Yeba Denzo Dorje Zhogu Soje Guna Dikbet Soja Sajen Yeben Chive Denyam Jiro Lanzo Ramzi Jimmo Chala Zishin Tuka Ngabjo Dosha Sajang Ana Yayan Nyegan Senba Zishin Darjangsa Karpa Meta Zijie Tanda Tachi Nyongjo Dero Nunda Yunja Yeba Namsong Kandro Lama Tumji Zukje Manang Hoja Masa Sharje Jinsong Gubejo Cheze Jadu Tukan Weje Gambo Ngabjo Dosha Saye Chego Namkar Sashen Yunbe Tuja Tukarje Rumo Kachang Kardan Dinche Denyam Jishen Jime Saja Ngade Udra Dena Yejang Karje Rabdoje Tamje Doten Durze Bunden Shanga Ganga Tuba Lana Java Doten Ungar Rimba Amar Nyinka Nazo Dorje Hunga Nyinka Rumba Ruba Go Nama Hesatana Jizo So Homago Kaba Nizo Boda Menya Todra Maser Yila Kuna Piham Janko Yumje Tewa Umbama Tengar Bomba Nango Noshan Sherman Marbo Marbo Go Shem Rapsha Serhian Jetso Hong Janko Yen La Kuna Pepe Doga Rabdan Semba Jiram.
Page 36. My body gradually dissolves into the awareness hung, which then remains in space in the form of the nada string. From the luminous and empty natural state of all phenomena arises an intensely blazing protection sphere of vajra ground, fence, tent, web, canopy, and masses of fire. At its center arise space, wind, fire, water, earth, and Mount Meru, upon which arise a variegated lotus and a crossed vajra. At the center of that arises a broom, from which arises a great immeasurable palace, made of various precious substances, brilliant and complete in its characteristics. Outside are spheres of lotuses and vajras, masses of fire, and the charnel grounds. Inside the palace, in the center of a multicolored lotus, is a sun disk, with Bhairava and Kalarati as a seat, upon which is a mandala of sun and moon and the white vowels and red consonants. In an instant, the nada of my awareness enters it and transforms into a vajra with a brilliant blue hung at its center. Light emanating from it makes offerings to the Buddhas and benefits beings. The light gathers back and dissolves into the seed syllable. The moon, sun, seed syllable, and implement transform, and I arise as the transcendent conqueror Cakrasamvara, outshining the radiance of a clear sky. I have one face, 3 eyes, and bared fangs. My hair knot is adorned with jeweled dried skulls, bound by a garland of vajras along my hairline. The top of my hair knot is adorned with a jewel, the front with a crossed vajra, and the left with a crescent moon. Holding a vajra and bell in my hands, I am embracing the consort. With my left leg bent, I stand on Bhairava's head, and my outstretched right leg presses down between Kalarati's breasts. I bear the 6 charnel ground adornments, a loose tiger skin skirt, and a garland of 50 freshly severed heads around my neck, and I display the 9 moods of dance. On my lap is coral-colored Vajrayogini, with 1 face and 3 eyes. Half her hair flows down loosely, and the other half is bound up with 5 dried skulls. Embracing the neck of the father, her left hand offers a skull cup filled with nectar. The right hand, in threatening mudra, fiercely brandishes a curved knife with a vajra handle. Her left leg is outstretched, and her right leg is wrapped around the father. Blissful and endowed with the youth of a 16-year-old, her beauty is extraordinary. She is naked and delights in blood, wears a garland of 50 dried skulls, and is endowed with the 5 mudras. The father and mother are adorned with the major and minor marks and silken scarfs. Like the fire at the end of time, their blissful union of method and wisdom is magnificent. In front is blue Dakini, to the left green Lama, behind is red Kandaroha, and to the right is yellow Rupini. Each has 1 face, 3 eyes, menacing laughter, bared fangs, hair flying loose, a crown ornament of dried skulls, and a garland of 50 dried skulls around the neck. In their right hands they each brandish aloft in space a curved knife, and in their left they hold to their hearts skulls filled with blood. A katvanga is tucked into the crook of the left arm. Their bodies are naked and sensuous, and they are endowed with the 5 symbols. With right leg outstretched and left leg bent, they dance majestically upon corpses. In the 4 intermediate directions upon moon discs are vases filled with the 5 nectars, and topped by skulls filled with the 5 meats. At the forehead of each deity on a moon disc is a white Om. At the throat on a lotus is a red Ah, and at the heart, at the center of a crossed vajra, is a blue Hong. At the father's heart are white Omha, at the forehead yellow Namahi, at the crown red Svahahu, and at both shoulders black Vausate, at both eyes crimson Hong Hong Ho, and at all limbs green Pet Hum. At the navel of the mother is red Om Vam, at the heart is blue Hamyom, and at the mouth white Hrimom, at the head yellow Hrim Hrim, and at the crown green Hom Hom, and on all limbs gray Pe Pe. Pam Pam, the light radiating from the Hong at my heart invites the Viras and Yoginis of the 10 directions and the empowerment deities into the space before me. Za Hung Bam Ho, the wisdom and commitment beings become indivisible.
Om Yoga Shuddha Sarva Dharma Yoga Shuddha Ho Om Sarva Tathagata Abbe Kindra Dharma Shepe Surta Vala Durjaye Kave Pamba Sadhu Todana Chetar Damba Somjana Tevjen Shekon Trisarta Laye Chuna Tobaye
Om Sarva Tathagata Abhikinsatu Mam. Having been supplicated, the empowerment deities hold aloft vases filled with nectar and proclaim, just as the Buddhas were bathed upon birth, we will bathe you with the pure water of the gods.
Om Sarva Tathagata Abhikinsatu Samma Yere Ho Yeso Vangu Drumata Dewa Chenpo Rangen Chojana Wangho Rangen Chula Jinjela Chula Mejoyam Nam Nam Kandro Maje Rinchen Wajen.
Saying this, they bestow the empowerment with the nectar, which fills my body and purifies all defilements, transforming me into the supreme nature of great bliss. The empowerment deities then dissolve into me. From the overflowing nectar arises a crown ornament of Akshobhya on the principal lord, Vairocana on the mother, and Ratnasambhava on the 4 Dakinis.
Om Shire Heru Goso Bare Vara Agamba De Doso Om Shire Heru Goso Bare Vara Anzamana Bade Doso Om Shire Heru Goso Bare Vara Drupchana Bade Doso Om Shire Heru Goso Bare Vara Baden Bade Doso Om Shere Hero Kasa Pare Vare Pupe Pate Zoso Om Shere Hero Kasa Pare Pupe Pate Zoso Om Shere Hero Kasa Aloka Pate Zoso Om Shere Hero Kasa Pare Vare Ganda Pate Zoso Om Shere Hero Kasa Pare Vare Nete Pate Zoso Om Shere Hero Kasa Pare Shata Pate Zoso Om Dharma Dharma Hom Tenzin Zoda Jupar Jibe Porta Lama Tamban Shardoma Hom.
I offer to the mouths of the kind root guru and all the glorious holy lineage gurus. Om Ahong.
Om Shen Banza Hero Gauro Gahom Jakanan Zola Samvara Om Aho Om Banzan Bero Zana Om Aho Om Jakene Om Aho Om Lame Om Aho Om Kendaroke Om Aho Om Rupane Om Aho Om Sarva Dharma Pala Om Aho Om Sarva Tadangata Anurangana Bandasu Emako Om Jonde Pavo Palmo Lapsada Karpa Chimbo Thame Meta Rabbe Tuje Jive Jimbode Jeze Chachen Jesorong Venda Sane Oze Tundra Barva Jada Shasan Dunda Katan Tenga Babe Shado Nozode Toa Mechen Donso Kolado Om Jonden Dema Durje Pamolane Samsa Pama Jete Sumjo Shinje Matari Pia Wansu Yubo Tamjen Jinze Zunze Duje Duje Jinze Doje Maham Jinje Mato Wanze Yoveje Doja Kenparanze Manje Sorong Chomo Jinjim Taze Seze Rabdun Jeba Seje Parar Lejam Nambar Jama Moban Zeje Rekta Moban Zebam Doje Pamo Namjer Chemo Debe Dwanso Duranato Sheje Wandang Goba Lejet Lunso Sendo Jemba Nyejata Gada Jodo Dodo Jinjet Nyembo Namjer Yala Samsat Taba Laso Dejen Shebai Gamba Yeta Durze Kamana Sansa Chibe Dejen Neba Tachi Metelo Samsat.
Page 52. Homage to the conqueror, the courageous Lord. I bow to you who blaze like the fire at the end of a great kalpa, whose locks are bound up at the crown and whose face is terrifying, fiercely bearing fangs, whose hands gleaming with 1,000 lights raise a battle axe and lasso and hold a spear and a katvanga. You who wear a tiger skin robe and whose smoky color resembles great darkness. Homage to the transcendent conqueress Vajravarahi, to the superior mother of the three worlds, invincible awareness consort, who destroys all fear of evil spirits with your great Vajra nature, to you with controlling eyes who remain like a Vajra seed unconquered by others, who neutralize even poison, wrathful, fierce lady bearing your fangs, terrifier, annihilator who severs completely, who conquers all adversaries, all victorious one, conquering those who make us dull, rigid, and confused, to Vajravarahi, great yogini, powerful lady who fulfills all desires, I bow. Homage to the 4 heart yoginis, who represent the 4 activities of pacifying, enriching, overpowering, and suppressing, the 4 placements of mindfulness of body, feeling, mind, and phenomena, and the 4 levels of joy, joy, supreme joy, beyond joy, and co-emergent joy. Homage to inseparable method and wisdom, the 4 Tathagatas such as the unchanging one, abiding in the intermediate directions in the form of offerings, the 4 vases with skull cups filled with nectar. Inside my body appearing as Haruka are the 3 channels and 4 chakras. At my crown is a white Ham, at my throat a white Om, at my heart a blue Hong, and at my navel a red Ah. From the Ah, wisdom fire blazes forth, burning away the syllables of the 3 chakras. From the Ham, white drops descend, and, restoring the 3 syllables, blissful warmth blazes forth. From the Hong at my heart, a mantra garland emerges. It descends through the pathway of the Vajra and enters the lotus of the mother and rises through her central channel. It emerges from her mouth and enters again into my mouth and dissolves into the seed syllable at my heart. In this way, it circles continuously. Om Shirim Bandahe Ruruga Hong Hong Pe Nakene Zola Sa Varam Sova Om Shirim Bandahe Om
Param Soha.
We start with the Q&A. We have 57 questions. So let's start with the first one. Can you briefly discuss Siddhi? Specifically, what is the Choking Ngudrup, which translates to Supreme Siddhi? Chitang Ngudrup saya di kararis, then in klapper to Choking Ngudrup karari.
Da Ngudrup the Chot and Tumoni Yosarwa. Tumon Ngudrup send the tongue as neck up the Yamlen Chine, the Tropta, the Yandron, the Dala, she say and on Dramata, the the new patching boy Yadon. Or Tendu Yoro, the Tumon Ngudrum down Young Society. Or the Chok Ngudrup send Sanjit Viachi. Ngudrup send that's all so the Mixik, the Tobiat.
So there is two kinds of cities. There is the common cities and the supreme city. Common cities, they are certain attainments one gains temporarily while one is on the path of practice. For example, one sees the deity directly or manifests other signs of accomplishment, different miracles, miraculous powers. So these are called the common cities. And then the supreme city is the attainment of enlightenment. And the term siddhi in general means to attain something that is special or unique. And the second question, what is the difference between the essence mantra and the quintessence mantra? The Ningbo da Nining Keva Kararis.
Kalare.
Nimba Tungu Yorba.
Ningbo Sana, Tata the Omir Mother here, sending Boroa. The Yaning Shaha home piece at the Yaniro. The Zarabe.
Chitang Dini Keva Karayori.
Chepa Gusong Chepa and water. Oh, Cedric, that's not Zanga cooking, Zanga Yura. Zanga at Queen, Zanga and the Jeton China Ganji Doban, Tanga, Zanga at Gu. Zanga Gu. Ganji, Jimden, the Jimden, Bobo Ombola, the Garachin Monte message and one. Or the Ganji Lago, or Tinga, Nachi, Omnam, or Carrymoma, Gui, the Tazayoran, you want something at it. Or take Zanga Gu. Ningbo Song, Yanin too. Or to the Labra. Or Saving Art, Zanga, Selam. Pechana, and as Doji Najo Metrota, and not Tatati, Naka, or the Nango, and Uncle go to the Ganji Art.
So in this practice, so the essence and quintessence mantras are the two on page 59. So there is three kinds of mantras. There's the root mantra, the essence mantra, and the quintessence mantra. The root mantra is related to the enlightened body. And so here actually it is also there's the 8 verses of homage. I don't know which page they're on now. Is it just before? Do you know which page? So there's these 8 verses where we pay homage first to Cakrasamvara and then Vajrayogini. Thank you. On page 52. It starts on page 52. So this entire homage that goes to page 56. That is called, says here in the end, the praise with the 2 eightfold verses. And so that is here also considered is part of the root mantra. And because sometimes it's accompanied by a mantra too. A mantra that encompasses the meaning of these 8 verses. Then the essence mantra is related to the enlightened speech, and the quintessence mantra to enlightened mind. In the Vajrayogini Sadhana, for example, regarding these eightfold verses, at the beginning of the actual mantra to be recited, there are those 8 verses to represent the root mantra. Then Is the practice text for this Drupcho considered the outer, inner, secret practice or secret practice of Cakrasamvara, as some traditions make a distinction between those? Lukso kashan ang latitang sin nang sangwe Drupa yeba sege yorova tanda di temcho ki Drupa yigeti si nang yana sang Drupa re.
Demcho korang la china sang sum iban seri laure.
Chitang lukso shenba yorova na purpa la sang drop yore tin lawana yorova.
Dang azu demcho sama na me sang me drupa re sa. Na drop the sang drop ra. Me tumo mai ba ze. 各句用对我满意主标是吧？我听的，拿着上着去想这说这意思。我拿我的，就当其他上怎么唱到这种多，还是那也我着的也去那去的做去呢，拿去的，别想着相当于我着那我他也得整个有的话别讲着那我的心情中有的话，我他说去的那。타다티 풍부 라제 안정원데 단자면다 여러 와서 나 치티리 상와 이담사 곰 년반다야 상와 치티 지나상 상마 상도를 삼도 이나 가서 저한테 믹스 좀 나도 나서 지나 저기 있어요
낭도
나 제한데
So that the Cakrasamvara practice is in the Kagyu tradition considered a kind of a special practice among others, a unique practice, and we can refer to it as an inner practice, an inner accomplishment. But really, the outer, inner, and the secret are all complete in the Cakrasamvara practice. For example, the sections on the preliminaries, like the refuge and bodhicitta and so on, we can see them as the outer practice. The inner practice would be to visualize one's aggregates as the deity and so forth. And then the secret practice would be to recite the Yidam deity's mantra.
제단 테리로와 다다 배짱다 간마가 준다지나 소봇 파몬 샤흐로와 제담 소봇 파몬 샤흐로와 아주 뎀초 샤흐르 안티치바데 있어 아주 소봇 뎀초 샤흐르
So there are some differences between the different Kagyu lineages. In the Karma Kagyu, for instance, Vajrayogini is the principal deity, but in the Jigung lineage, Cakrasamvara is the principal deity. Then, can you please explain what is meant by co-emergent joy?
현지 집에 가지 현지 집에 가와서
현지 집에 가와 카레리스
현지 집에 가와서 다 멕시코 소 샘프네로 통야 올래 대 통야 앞지마서 살아
So there are these 4 levels of joy. And so the first one is called joy, then the second one is called supreme joy, the third is beyond joy, the fourth is co-emergent joy. And co-emergent joy is to see the natural state of the mind and to experience the unity of bliss and emptiness. Vajrayogini and Vajravarahi, different expressions of the same being, or are they distinct? Dorje namjavadan dorje pamo gini jigre yana konso kagari. They are one.
제탄데 ngazo drupta tsona jidan pagye yore wa de na dorje nejo me drupta ze chi yoro manchis de saje kilo so kachu mas de dorje nejo mas antin traditional saje kilo saje da gelo de ma jubaje no wa de dorje nejo mas chi no wa 제탄 돈다 안 지켜라 안 사래 pagye yona mina 돈다 지켜라 kashi dorje nejo se bo kashi pamos mo sa 돈다 지켜라 해서
So Vajrayogini and Vajravarahi are really one and the same. But in our traditions, Vajrayogini Sadhana, Vajrayogini has a second sow's head. And because of the sow's head, she is called Vajravarahi, which is the Varahi part. But then in other lineages like the Sakya or Gelugpa, she's called Vajrayogini, and they do not have she doesn't have a sow's head there. But essentially they are still one and the same, just some depict her with a sow's head and some without, and therefore some call her Vajravarahi and some Vajrayogini. What colors are the herukas?
So,
Heruka tamche kato kareris.
Kari Herga.
She.
Herga, so Herga, the Joe Herga cannot go more. Is the Tata Herga Shiba? Tahakumas.
In it, heruka la mambo yo.
Herga Mambo, you
Heruka kareris samara.
Oh, yeah, them Chong on Jidor on Boton. Yeah, them Chong on Jidor on Boris started Herga Mambo those.
Chitang heruka kareris na deshe gamna yapo sorry.
Hergas and Chantong Roa Chantong. Chantong Sena, Tankorwa, Chak, Janso, Tepa, Tonkorwa Jamso, Gamiachivik. Teach it Chantong Sema.
So there are many herukas and they don't all have the same color. So heruka means literally blood drinker. So it's a wrathful form. So Cakrasamvara, the heruka Cakrasamvara, is blue in color. But then you have also Hevaja or Kala Chakra and so on, and they all have different colors. But so the meaning of heruka is so blood drinking, and blood refers to the blood of the ocean of samsara. It's an ocean of blood, and the heruka dries out this ocean of blood of samsara. What are Sumbani mantras?
Sumbani
mantra. Ngakti kararis.
Nga the Cho Nunzi says, Nga, Lamdo Cho Nunzi. The Jitanga, Sunkorno, Kumiare, Sumban, Sumban Honse. Sumban, Sumbazi, Nunzi, Lapshosarwa, Nunzi, she, Nunzi, Cho made or Chok me. Chok made or this Sumban, Sumbasi, Nunzi, Silafshosari, Jahana, and Zibar cheese. Zia or gates and Z.
So Duadava.
Or Zimba, Ziachi. Jahana Anayapo, Senhare, Anayapo, or Zenako, to not quote gate of quote. Bangavas and Jumdendi gates for gargles. Don't to that question.
Notice it a
project made it true.
So the meaning, so the Sumbani mantra that we recite, which is on page, let's see, I think 80 or something, right? At 80, I think, yeah. On page 81. So it is a protection. So generally the meaning of it is to establish a protection sphere. And then the Sumba and Sumbani, or Nisumba, refer to a certain kind of wrathful being. And then Grihana means to seize or like to catch obstructors. And Anayaho means to summon them or draw them in. And Bhagavan is the Buddha. And then altogether we can say it means one draws in and then suppresses or like hinders or prevents the hinderers or the obstructors. Would Drupon please speak more about the activities of the Dakinis? What are they? Kandrom konabaki chinle yorva. Kandromagi chinle. Chitan kandromagi chinle kareris.
Kandrom chinle. Kandrom chinle da chotan ko mongoro to bia chinle to bia injury da. Yadam karina to bia terawatan kandroma teranjir.
So the general activities of the Dakinis is to help gather or kind of attain the two kinds of siddhis, the common and the supreme siddhis. And that's the general activity of all the yidams as well. Please review the offerings, specifically Ansamanam, Prokshanam, and the 16 offering goddesses, Vina Vamshe Mirange Mucha Yoro, Yoro, Tenso Rede Shindo, Yankia
Kaste enza mana drukcha.
Tambo Ansa Manam, then in Prokshanam.
Enza mana sena khare chonyong xie ya chunchu xie dongba ya ro. Xie zang se gol dorya se drukcha na sena. Nevede xie ba.
Any Ansanam?
Enza mana ti chupa dorya. Ro.
Prokshanam?
샵시 저한테 시시ten 초용으로만 초용 시시지 다다제 다다로 아르감센 초용으로 와 인자만나 시시로 와 시시야 시시야 자이트 산토르 산토르 쿨토리아 다지 신바도 니들 앞에 들어라리 안 그래 Cargoda. Ale banza bene to da dis kale ka bondo ati thomala.
Page ashok the ngapchola.
Ale da to 저는 제 동영상 덱사 나랑 이제 요새 미마티 마르크 요르카스 도와. 그래서 동영상 덱지 내 가장 이메일스 이제 동영상. 지난 제처럼 좀 봤어요. 동영상. 나 저렇게 랍도 야마도 야. 제처럼 제 동영상. 제 네나 요새 좀 말아 동영상. 저 봐서 이제 더 대제제 저도구나 대리인 고르게
So Ansanan, what is the first one? Ansamanam. Means to it's a water offering that is to refresh the face, so it's sprinkled towards the face, and then Prokshanan is like also a water sprinkling, but for purification. Then the 16 offering goddesses. So Drupon asked me to read this from here. Yeah, so the first one. Yeah. So first is the Tambo Lingbo. So the first one is the order is a bit different here, I think. Tambo it says lute and flute. Okay, sorry. So first is the lute goddess, so Vini, and so refers to the lute goddess, Vajravina, and she's blue. Then Vamshe is the flute goddess, yellow, Vajravamsha. Then Mitamge is the goddess of the round drum, Vajramuracha, red in color. Then Murache, no, that was Murache, right? The order is different here. Yeah. So the order is different, sorry. So first I said Murache, so that's the next one then, right? So that's green, and as the round drum. And then, so the order is different in here in this text, so I'm confused. So Vamshe is red, and then is yellow, and then Muracha is next here in this text, which is the fourth one in our text. Red, goddess of the round drum, a bigger drum like this. And then Muracha is the third one, but in our text, but the fourth one here is green in color. Muracha is also red in color. and red in color. And so, sorry, the order is a little different here. Midamga is green and Muracha is red. And one is a bigger drum, the Midamge, and the Muracha is a smaller drum, like 2 drums. Then they have those 4 have 1 face and 4 arms, with the principal hands holding up their respective instruments, and the 2 hands outside hold the vajra and bell. Next, we have the 4 goddesses offering song and dance. And so the first one then is the smiling goddess of garlands, red in color, Vajramalya, must be Hasye. Then next is the blue Vajralasya, so Vajralasya is the next one, the charming goddess of beauty, so blue in color. Then next is Giti, the singing goddess, yellow, so yellow Vajragita. Then next is Nirtya, that is the dancing goddess, or called the green Vajranirtya. And they all also have 1 face and 4 hands. In their first 2 hands, the first 2 goddesses hold vajra and bell in a laughing and proud manner. The 3rd goddess strikes cymbals, and the 4th goddess turns the Beko lotus mudra. In the lower right hands, they are holding a skull cup, and in the left, a damaru drum. Then Vajragita has a staff with bells. That's that, yeah. And then next is the Pushpa, the flower goddess, white Vajra Pushpa, with a bowl of flowers. Then next is Dube, the smoke-colored Vajra Duba, the goddess of incense, holding a censer of incense. Then next is Dibam, that is the goddess of lights, or the red Vajra Loka, holding an offering lamp. Then Gendem is the goddess of scents, the red Vajragandha, holding a conch shell of perfume. Then these goddesses, their right hands they're holding their respective implement and a damaru drum, and the 2 left hands are holding a skull cup and khatvanga. So then finally, so Rupa is the goddess of form. She's called the white Vajra Darsha, holding a mirror. Next is Rasa, the goddess of taste, red Vajra Rasya, holding a bowl of honey beer. And next, Sparse, the goddess of touch, or green Vajra Sparsha, with various cloth garments. And then Dharmadhatu, the Dharmadhatu goddess, white Vajra Dharma, holding a Dharmodaya, or a Dharma source. Then their second right hand is holding a damaru drum, and the 2 left hands are holding a skull cup and a khatvanga. Then, thank you. What does it mean in the sadhana when it describes Vajravarahi as the passionate one for those with great passion? So where was that now? You know, but this is with the passionate one with great passion, for one great passion.
Colors. Okay.
The Duban ala yusari pamola.
또 매강지 텐지.
강지 양인 삼마리.
아나.
셴바시리.
헤르카 페포치 남다도 좀. 마도 봐요, 마.
Let's do another question first. Can you find that? Tamo 셴바시 단데링아. 셴바 디모 쇼트업 된다 우리.
아니 셴바나.
Tamo 셴바다.
아니.
So let's do another question first, and Diane is kindly looking for the page number. And then so here it says page number 53. It reads, raise a battle axe and lasso and so forth. Is this achala that was mentioned at the beginning during the protection spheres? So the ngachung asumla the yorba Sadhana visa dontra barba bo data shark char yorba inguma tangbo tumu sonko yorba tinala achala miyowa yorba timare okay
demchora demcho cha mambo yojo de mambo yorwa sha tada ti toba de demchora chano ze dontra maro data sha den don kharam zi se demcho kashi cha mambo yore yorwa tere.
So this one is not Achala, but it's Cakrasamvara himself. And so sometimes Cakrasamvara is also depicted with more than two hands. And so here there's a form of him where he holds, raises a battle axe and a lasso. So here it is Cakrasamvara. And on page 57, and the restoring the three syllables, blissful warmth, blazes forth, are the ham and hong that are upside down becoming upright after restoring. Chotek ngapchung abdun lam, tini tambo ham dang hong sena konso kat turdu daga yoraba. Kan yaure. Ham dang hong yoraba. Konso kat turdu daga yoraba. Tini 이게 된서 한번 매책으로 매색 자도 되니 야소고 여러봐 야소 자도 되니 함당 홍 다동 가토 되기도 해 야나 야랑 되게 놓대도 Yeah, so they will continue to be upside down after restoring them. And then on page 5 this was written by Lord Chikten Somgan. What does this refer to? The complete sadhana. 이 쇼템가라라 띵에진게 왕기 쪽람 디니 직전 솜경기 제바보 송기 여러바 아 디니디 만에 수모 솜책디라 두모 솜책 디 직전 솜경 제바보 송기 여러바 아디 탄다 카레레스 콩 룹탑 참아 직전 솜경기 지 여러베스 야나 카라지 여레
어 팅고 티니 보던 지간 솜모치 두모 솜책디 띵에지 원코티니 티치타 테네 셴바도 조다 제단에 냄새 오거나 닥치 저 테레진시 쇼라 안지할지 나한테 전화 뱀발세제 티나 냄새 오지 닥치세 그래 뭐초 제 초서서라 드공 티케 녜마 체폰 돈럽 가르 심틱 드공 티케 심틱 도르제 로폰 심틱 도르제 로폰 다다 돈럽 가르상세제 정도와 돈럽 가르상 어떻게 sich 할지 대콩 제사테 직장 좀 공주포 잘래 가르총세 들어인 바지 잘래 가르총세 직장 좀 공주포 잘래 가르총
디나나지라
디나나다 공 카논으로 잡라는 거 좋아지죠.
Yes. So on page 5, when it says this was written by Lord Chikten Somgan, it does not refer to the whole sadhana, but what Chikten Somgan composed was the visualization of the three-layered protection sphere of Tummo, and then also what follows right after that, the samadhi empowerment from the profound dharma of Gyöpo Chikten Somgan. So these two were composed by Chikten Somgan, and then the sadhana itself was composed by two different authors. So the main part of the self-visualization of Cakrasamvara was composed by the Vidyadhara Chudak, the Dharmakirti in the Jikung lineage, and it comes from a text called Endowed with the Blessings of the Endowment of Blessings of the Fivefold Path. And that's the main part of the practice, but then the preliminary practices and also the concluding practices of the sadhana were composed by the Vajra master who conferred the mind pointing out instructions in Drikung Til, and his name is Döndrup Galsang, and he composed these sections of the sadhana in Lodjikden Somgun's practice cave, and the cave was called Dagle Karchung. So on page, coming back to the question before, on page 68, thanks Diane. On page 68, Shoktep Drupcho Rinchen Dorje. So where it says, the passionate one for those with great passion, the meaning of that. So, die sungi yoraba, chechak chakpa chenamgi, dirava. Digi tanda kariris.
Jecha chakpa chenam tes. Jetanda, herukapi pawochi terawatis, demchorwa, namda dorji wanchu, jecha chakpa dorji pamore. The dorji pamote, jetan chakpa yo mares, ina simjian la zeva, chakpa chivi tsuit, denshore, senjikan stengato. Chakpan dong te yo ma res. Ina te ze ta kar na chakpan mina chakpa chi bi chu te simjian tam ji ze wa dan te yo res.
So it's a praise to Vajrayogini, and so passionate one, because actually Vajrayogini, Vajrayavarahi has no passion, so has no attachment at all. But because in samsaric existence sentient beings do have a passion, she appears in the manner of passion for these beings. So in other words, she appears in the manner of showing great love for these beings. On page 37 of the text, during generation, it describes the sun disk, which sits a mandala of sun and moon, and white vowels and red consonants. Could you explain the symbolism of the colors reversing? Because on page 17, while blessing the Vajra and the bell, the vowels transform into a sun and the consonants into a moon. Shokta sumju so dun la. Tambong nimadang dawa den yorwa. Teni yang garbo teni ali garbo teni a garbo ro ali garbo teni kale marbo resra. Yine yang tambong so shote chopdun la. Doje dan jibo sinla sibe kapla.
Teni bon rag mane chene teni bon jerjo mares. Doje chimchina chibi lapa chena chikro. Ni don jerem gang la ya je ya gang te chakro.
Dini samsung la nimadan dawa dis kakachara.
Ne te mehi da gona te tari tigang la je ya mari te je ton lapa la china lapa yes nima on dawa sa ten lam no man zekte mixi ta je ya man digang jerem gang ji ro thang je ro gona.
Ina di tönda kare tambo bena tambo nima di marbore teni dawa di garbore teni yang nima di garbore ne
dawa di marbo la.
Jetan di
la yes nima ta yon dawa me kan bo kan do yo ji mari.
Jetan nimadan dawa teni ali kalim kapo mabola sungyorwa. Nima di sungyorwa. Teni chupdun la kare sunggodong.
Chupdun la kan do yo mari.
Chupdun la.
La yes nima ta yon dawa ze war chozine.
Chupdun la.
Yo ji mari peja kan do yo sam.
On page 17, it doesn't say the color. It just says the palms on the right palms transforms into a sun, and the consonants on the left palm. So the vowels on the right palm transform into a sun, and the consonants on the left palm into a moon. It doesn't mention specific colors on page 17. So now on page 37. Katlogi tönda kareris.
Kando tenze nima te karwo den dawa kam kanma tsongho nima te marwochi dawa te karwochi wo ti na la da ni changje den do da du si yang se kanma u rang re na da se te sem nam xie tsara shou ba chi na da te nam xie ba chi hong jin ting hong ba do ji hong jin ting hong ba te da ngo jang ga ja na da ne sa dawa chang cho ba nima chang cho ba. Tene 송 인줄에 창초바스 토 창세한 창초바스 도제 홍진听我말스 때 토 창세 되고 용 소바를 창초바스 되고 용 소바 소제야데 어떤데 제람 군도 다 담보 당어서 복잡들 나지 치네 어떻게 감간 마르치 들이 남시에 교과치 들이 다 야야디 치리디 시에스자 들이 소 제비 통다 고용 소바지 어때 제렘테 제네 장치 제렘스 어떤 위해서로
So first, these are like very different sections, because in the beginning we are blessing the palms of our hands, and so here on page 37, it is a different context where we are actually visualizing the deity, and so here the colors are actually mentioned, but before they are not. So the sun generally is red and the moon is white, and together they represent the essential subtle drops, the white and the red drops of our parents. And then the nada string here on page 37 in the second paragraph. So first you have the sun and the moon. In the second paragraph you have, in an instant the nada of my awareness enters it. So enters the mandala of sun and moon. The nada string of your own awareness represents your own consciousness that enters the white and the red drops of the parents, or like a child taking birth, being conceived. And so this visualization here resembles the what is called the 5 enlightenments. So a visualization in 5 steps. And the first enlightenment is the sun, the first step of visualization. The second is the moon. Then the third is the speech, which is the seed syllable. So then on top of sun and moon appears the seed syllable, which is like the consciousness entering the womb. And then the implement, and the seed syllable transforms into the implement, and the implement represents the mind. And then finally, the implement then turns into the complete form of the Yiram. And this corresponds to the way in which a human being is born. So first it is just the nada string, the consciousness, and then it turns into the implement, which is like the embryonic state of the body beginning to form. And then finally it turns into a fully grown human being. And so this is how the generation stage corresponds with the way we take birth. So therefore the generation stage is a method to purify the existence of birth. Then I have a question that when we visualize Vajravarahi embracing Cakrasamvara, does Vajravarahi have the head of a sow in her right ear or not? Then Dorje Pamo Tatemjogi Yumra then he Pasha Dirva Pasha di na yebe ginangla yorebe.
Na ta yepa lando. Na ta yepa lando. Namjo dawa.
So the sow's head is not in the ear, but it's above the right ear. On page 48 of the sadhana are visualizations of Akshobhya, Vairochana, and Ratnasambhava. Then taking empowerment or the lung from these Buddhas, could it change the practice? Could you speak about it? I'm not so sure what it means.
다들 제 제동 릭다 오진야로와
라
릭다 오진한테 덤초한테 릭다 오테 메슈 바로와 어떻게 오진한테 칸도 도르제 nenjo 마테 제동한테 도르제 nenjo 마테 초크레스 그 소우치 풍부 넘버 난지라브라 수국 초르테 오진바 초 수국지에다 세는서 랍쇼사리
파목이 오겐디
넘버 난지로 chuk suku jeda chukula suku jeda amrase
Suku tang suku.
chuk pamuchi
Ale suku jeda.
number nanzi suku jeda sok pungbo number nanzi wa tenru lap chozen do ten kanro rinchen jungde ten kanro shi wo ti rai da po sarwa
So that's what this refers to on page 48 is the crown ornaments, which are the lords of the family of the respective deities. So the lord of the family of Cakrasamvara's family is Akshobhya. So therefore first the crown ornament of Akshobhya on the principal lord, Cakrasamvara. And Vairochana on the mother. So Vajrayogini's lord of the family is Vairochana. So Vajrayogini herself represents the Dharmakaya, and Vairochana, the form emanation, represents the pure aggregate of form. So the Dharmakaya is sealed by the pure aggregate of form of Vairochana. And then Ratnasambhava on the four Dakinis. So Ratnasambhava is the lord of the four Dakinis families. What is in Sanskrit and Tibetan the aggregate skandha of primordial consciousness or awareness wisdom, and the element Buddha or Dhatu of primordial consciousness. So the pöke dan lecture gege kanal abgedos signi jigde yeshe ki pungbo deni jigde kam the yeshe ki kam
ale ta tenge ha kom has yeshe kam se kaur
yena pöke na kan pöke dirwa
yeshe kam kara sambo demjo namdo yeshe kam se yeshe pungbo se
지단 벽에 나라티 카레레스라고 도마도
거기 나
벽에 나라 그래서 코 인치라고 그러와 the wisdom of the 카나스라고 벽에 나라 띵하다나 슈임바 벽에 나 데려와
다 된지 발라 간지 그런지 생각하고 뭐
우리 lecture 게 카레레스
lecture ging ich mis
so since you ask about Sanskrit and Tibetan so we don't know Sanskrit but the Tibetan of the first one, so the aggregate of primordial wisdom is, so in Tibetan you would say Yeshe Gi Pungbo. And then the second one, the element of primordial awareness is Yeshe Gi Kam. So Yeshe Gi Pungbo and Yeshe Gi Kam. And Drupon says he doesn't know Sanskrit. And that neither do I. What are your suggestions on what to do if something happens to go wrong in the practice, such as a heavy karmic ripening? So nyamlan seve kapla teni samsan dis madik pata bo parchen nangshin yorwa yongu yore tini tik madik pa yongu yore nyamlan dirwa teni pena le sukchembo memba nangshin yorwa yongu yon ti kapla khare chi gores
te pichi gala jotang ta duruchi sobakum zonruchi 다이고 녀메케 레스 바창을 같은 데 zonruchi 소바 강에디 있으나 소바곰 로도 남기서 챈바치 어디 상제도 비아sam노다 배송치
So in those moments you have to practice patience and endure the difficulty with diligence in the practice and see it as a purification of negative karma, and just endure the difficulty with patience, and also remember the four thoughts that turn the mind, and also direct your mind toward enlightenment. I heard Kurukula is part of Hevajra practice, but she is not in the Cakrasamvara Tantra. Garchen Rinpoche has said that one can just recite the Cakrasamvara mantra in place of the Hevajra mantra. What is your view on this? Then Gurukula ki doche nangla yore. Yinan temcho nangla yoamare. Temcho gyu nangla yoamares. Deni nguma Garchen Rinpoche din song song. Deni ki doche nyemba yoraba ngak. Digi tsakbla. Deni temcho chikputo nang chogres. Song song. Deni di kola kerangki dawa kareres.
저기 어제 뭐 좀 만나 이러 왔대. 他说日节吃当或是这没得嘛，可这些见多的呢，他说日节吃当或者怎么说，日层面吃当这种意思。啊，对，这个是，今天这也不是广东的，所以这开心不着。
It is just as Garchen Rinpoche has said, and also in one of the verses of auspiciousness, it does refer to Cakrasamvara as the Lord that pervades all the Buddha families. And so because he pervades all the Buddha families, it is fine to just recite his mantra. And in any case, if you're practicing one Yidam deity, one generation stage well, then that is actually the best. At different stages. So when it comes to the things that, like Garchen Rinpoche or also His Holiness the Dalai Lama or His Holiness Chetsang Rinpoche and so on say, then you can just do whatever they have told you to do. There's no need to ask me about that actually. Then it is fine to just follow their advice. Then, at different stages and times, I have different connections with different deities. I understand in essence they are the same. They are same as our nature of bodhicitta mind, but I am struggling with which yidams I should focus on, since I understand it is more beneficial to focus on one yidam or deity. Tini samsamla tini di yidam dame dan yamlan sigi yorwa. Ta kapla denera, kapla dene di yidam dame dan yamlan sigi yus. Ta yina yang ngovo das sangtu samgi ngovo nana chikpares tinga hako dos. Di yina yang ta yidam chik dame la ngates kale kapo yores. Yina yang yidam chik yapon yamlan sena tini di pendo cheres ngatina yang kosong. Tini di yinang chik damye la dis khale khapo yori kan sina kapla tena damen da yang che sam gi yori
这趟这说一旦接了做从呢这些年还是什么都可是一旦接点把头工他这了做空皮桥要给了我这里他这趟这样咱们做办做咱们这主要的专门这个哇做这了你们去呢这些点把头来的要学这些什么都可是这绕空气桥的这我们这几地方这些呢点把特别的呢让地西方没来什么都要不没行这是做大的了做了
So it is in general better if you focus on practicing a single yidam in your personal practice, because if you habituate to one yidam deity, then you will more likely to develop a stability in the generation stage. Of course, sometimes when you join group practices of different yidam deities, and it's fine to practice different yidam deities. But in general, when you do your own practice, it might be better to just have a single yidam deity, so that you can really establish a familiarity with that one deity. Because if you practice many different deities, it might be more difficult to establish this familiarity. But which yidam that is, it's very personal. You have to see for yourself. What is the right attitude to receive the blessing of this deity and sadhana? Tini di ladang tupta sinlap top gona. Tini sosu sem samlo tang kare gogudok.
Sem
samlo tang kare gogudok. Sosu sem
samlo tang yeah. Samlo tang jamning ge changjo sem go hindo. Tini zaju lama chama la seba mo hu go hindo. Tini kadi na ze sem ma yin yu hi la gom nga anda. Tini chi go hindo. Tini china china to gre.
So your state of mind should be one of bodhicitta, of love and compassion, and of faith and devotion to the root and lineage gurus, and a constant state of non-distraction while visualizing the deity and reciting the mantra. So this is how you receive the blessings of the practice. So let's take a break here. One more and then a break. When we see the state of emptiness in the sadhana, how can we do better and what can we do? Nelo de tongna. The ni courage that yaki kandas don't go is karchegore.
Karche? Drupon Rinchen Dorje.
Maybe it's the Omsva. Tishina Omsa Baba.
Ale Omsuba.
Don't bend on it. Tichina Tiring.
Ale, what is Omsuba should have survived Masuba?
It ane.
What that bitch and us, Yana, the Nazo Chobat is Dutson want the Dormato Chinachin and the Madabatas of Pajaya and Ramachin, don't be not Pajan Tambo. What it is sort of Jakirwa. What to do the large doing that sort of Tambo don't so large Jakirwa. What he take on the Sari. The Larue.
In Tambo Omsa Baba, the Pachatin Sari, Omsa Baba, the Shutatu. Then it had Dini Tomba in Nasho Gorava. Shotan Canada or a dinner in Zara.
Ranji Tomba, Omsuba should have survived and Masuba should Omsuba should say the Tomba. That Tomba Ranji Tomba in Sari, Omsuba should have survived and Massachusetts Ranji Tomba. What the Tomba and I was Omsuba should have survived and Masuba should have Hans in our what to do the city, Ranji Tomba.
So in the beginning, so we think it might refer to the emptiness mantra, the Om Svabhava mantra in the beginning. So in the beginning, when we consecrate the offerings with nectar, the offering nectar and the dorma, there's different sections. We first purify all defilements into emptiness, and then in another part of the sadhana, then we arise as the deity from within the state of emptiness. And so here, when you recite this mantra, the Om Svabhava mantra, you should think that the meaning of the mantra is that all phenomena, everything is empty by nature, and then also I am empty by nature. Since my divorce, I do not like physical sex or the idea of sexual union, and I have a difficult time understanding or appreciating the concept of bliss in relation to tantric union. What advice do you have for me on how to better appreciate the sexual union aspect of a Ruka Cakrasamvara visualization? Changsa Gyayusarava, Changsa di Meva Chasong. Dini Changsa Meva Chagne Songde, Dini ko Lugitrava, Miss Mishamba Lugitrava, Chenda Shira Mindok, she has Sangi Mindok. Dini Tana Dela Dene, Sanga Ginana, Dini so young Yap Yum Chorda, Trova Nalatenera, Dini Deva Jigia Yori, Dinga Shira, Dinga Ko, this Kalikapo Yoris, Deva Gitanti. Dini Chitang. Yakova Chilenge Yamari. Dini Temcho ki Mikpa Nala, the Jorvaki Deva Yorava, the Kova Kandas, the Volengo Yori.
The Namaya, Tomba Yoms, Namaya, Tomba Yom, not on song to you, but the Yamium song to you, but what's in return? Some of them to this.
Deva.
Yamne Yabuchi, Sam Dinero, so ya stone, David to go Deva and Gila. G. Katanti nominated, Jikan be Deva, Demchok Deva, Jikan Deva, and Demchok Deva Judopa Capun, and Jikan Deva J. Race. Deva says the human reason daughter, good day to that I also clapped to us in some way. It's Tomod. They Sanjik. Devana, Sami Devas and Sami, lay me be Devare.
So the union of the yap and the yum, or the male and the female, in the Cakrasamvara practice. So you can see the yap, the male, as the appearance aspect, and the yum, the female, as the emptiness aspect. And appearance and emptiness are an indivisible union. And regarding bliss, when you practice and then realize the nature of your mind, a bliss will naturally, the blissful nature of your mind will naturally reveal itself then. And we have mentioned yesterday during the teachings that the difference between the mundane, the worldly bliss, and Cakrasamvara's bliss is said to be like a 16-fold difference. So as we only experience maybe a 16th of a fraction of Cakrasamvara's bliss. Or we can also say the enlightened bliss of a Buddha cannot really be expressed in words. It's the bliss that one experiences at this, and one attains the state of enlightenment. And this bliss is unlike our bliss. It is undefiled bliss. It is a bliss that is devoid of karma. So let's take a break now until 4 p.m.